City Council meeting for the City of Lamar. I'm Mayor Kirk Crispin. We had a very interesting discussion for our work session prior to this meeting. One of the topics that's been a hot topic for some time now and over the last few weeks, we've seen some posts on Facebook about the increasing amount of homeless in our community. We've seen, we had a discussion at our Common Grounds meeting last week with some individuals from the community. And since then, I've actually set up a meeting for us to meet with the county commissioners tomorrow afternoon during the work session to discuss this as well. We had a discussion earlier today with Browers Medical Center and the challenges that they're facing with the homeless issues that we're dealing with. This isn't something that's uncommon to all of the communities it's not just Lamar, in other words. This is going on throughout the state of Colorado. We've been told earlier today that there's a city and a county that's looking at doing a lawsuit to Denver about the homeless. Obviously, we're not there, but we do have an issue and it is growing, and we need to take steps to make sure that we're working together on that. So I look forward to having the meeting with the county commissioners tomorrow. We will continue to have more discussions with other entities as well. As we found out, there is no simple fix to this. There are communities that are trying to find solutions as well that are even further behind than we are as far as the steps that we've taken so far. But we will continue to work on it and do the best we can as we move forward. With that said, we will move on with our council meeting. We have Galen here for our invocation. Galen, would you please? And Martha has a monitor for you, or a mic.
Father, we want to thank you for your protection and your blessing upon our city. Father, we thank you for the city council members that we've got, men and women who are willing to step forward and take leadership positions. Father, we pray that you will be leading them as they lead our city. Father, we're thankful for all the people who live and work here in Lamar. We ask for your continued blessing. We ask for your continued protection. Father, tonight as our city council meet tonight, we pray as they have their discussion that they will have insights and wisdom from you about how to solve the problems and how to encourage our city and how to make it go forward. So Father, we ask for your blessing and your protection, your special work. And Father, we pray that this homeless situation will be clarified. Father, we just pray for your will to be accomplished. And we thank you and we praise you for that. We praise you for all your blessings upon us and your love. And we do this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Councilman Paula, would you lead us in the pledge?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the time is now 7:04 p.m. I'll call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Joe Gonzalez.
Here.
Shayla Mata.
Here.
Jerry Jenkins.
Here.
Kirk Crespin.
Here.
David Zavala.
Here.
Manuel Temez.
Here.
Brett Bates.
Here.
Rob Evans.
Here.
Kristen Swartz.
Here.
Lance Clark. Here.
Okay, we've all had a chance to review the agenda. Do we have somebody that wants to add anything or amend the agenda in any way?
Oh, yes. We have one I would like to add, agenda item for the Colorado State Grants for Libraries.
Okay, that would
To allow us.
have that, and that should be on the top of your packet or in your seat when you got here. Fiscal year 24-25, Colorado State Grants for Libraries. This is to approve this year's grant and allow us to apply for this and future grants through the state grant application. So we can add that in. I would recommend we add it on number 7 and move number 7 miscellaneous and executive session down to 8 and 9. So that would be my recommendation. Do we have a motion to do so?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to amend the agenda with this one item. Any discussions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Manuel and Shayla.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay. So we will make that a change onto the agenda. Next item is the consent agenda. I did not see any items that needed to be changed or voted on separately in the consent agenda. Did anyone else?
I didn't see any.
Okay. Seeing none, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Pose same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
All right, next item on the agenda is audience participation. During this portion of the meeting, anyone may speak on any subject that does not appear on the agenda. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each, and that is, of course, at the discretion of the council. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council on an item tonight? Okay, you'll come up and state your name and address for the record.
My name is Donna Jerome in Lamar, Colorado. I know that we've had the Main Street redone and the sidewalks and stuff. I've noticed that there are people, trucks, parking on the sidewalk as well as motorcycles. I think that's kind of an issue after it's already been redone, and they continue to do it. I was wondering if there is anything that could be done about that.
Okay. I know it's been discussed and they're working on that, so that has been something that's been on the radar.
Okay.
Anything
Thank you.
else? Thank you. All right, anyone else would like to speak to the council on an item? Seeing none, we will move on. Let me hit delete there. Move on to the city treasurer's report. Kristen?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight, I had Tess update our grant list that we present to you a couple of times a year. So it's got the current information on things that we've applied for, waiting for answers, things we're closing out, things that are active. So we put that on there for your review and for information. If anybody has any questions on that, I'd be glad to try to answer them. And then as far as grants update, we have a few that we're asking for permission to apply tonight. Working on some stuff with the 2025 budget in mind, trying to get some things lined out for that. And then just continuing to work on the wastewater treatment plant grants right now are big, and working on EPA grants and things like that for the spill cleanups and asbestos removals, as well as the assessment grant. Anne Marie's been doing a great job with those. Other than that, that's all I have for tonight, unless you have any questions for me.
I saw something in the consent agenda on the archery range grant.
Yes, sir.
Did we, how are we doing on that?
Okay, so we've received our PO on that finally, and right now we have agreed on a different location. So I'm waiting to hear back from CPW. They were working on whether we'd need to change our scope of work since we are changing locations. And then we're having Pat help us. It's listed as a gravel pit is where we're going right now with the state. It's and they're closing it out, and so Pat and his crew are working on getting the final product out of there so that they can reclaim that area and we can get the state to come down and release that pit. I do know that they've ordered, gone ahead and ordered, some of the targets are here and waiting, but we can't do anything until the state, first of all, make sure we don't have to change our scope. We're changing locations, and then also waiting on the state to release that as a gravel pit. So Pat's working on that part for us, so.
I will let you know, they said that they're probably not going to have any objection to moving it because we didn't move it that far. It's still close by. And it was because when we did our in-depth research, the boundaries weren't what we thought were when they started. So on the north side of the river, it wouldn't fit in. And so we're going to be going on the other side of North Gateway.
And there was also an issue with access as well.
Yes, well, the access
Or
caused,
do we get that fixed?
Well, that was off the highway when we were at our old location. There won't be any accessibility issues with this. They can park at North Gateway Park and walk in.
Okay.
So it's, you know, a good location. It just, you know, we had to get some stuff completed first before we can start to build. So,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
If it's okay to say, I wanted to point this out, looking at this total. I know there are some grants that are still outstanding from 2020, but they're lasting in till 2025. I think it's important to note, because I've been asked many, many times about, why doesn't the city apply for grants? Why don't we get grants so we can go out and do things?
I have a few.
The total here that we've done in projects is 11,775,000 that we're working on.
Right.
But of that, 9.7 million have been in grants that we've received from outside sources. So I want to commend Kristen and the staff for, I know we have the new grant director and all of that that's helping with this, but I want to say that's incredible. I think that's a huge amount of money that's coming into our area. It does take work to find these grants, to apply for these grants, to manage them afterwards. So kudos to you. I just wanted to point that
Well, and
out.
I just want to give a shout out to all the departments. They're, for the most part, so easy to, you know, work with. We're a team, and I think that we've really developed a process in the last few years that is working, and, you know, I want to commend them too. It's a team effort, you know, and I appreciate everybody's, you know, cooperation, and, you know, it's exciting, and I think the planning helps, you know, our plans in place is going to make a big difference too, you know, then that way we're very intentional about the grants that we apply for, and we get the best ones that, you know, for the most money for the city. So I just, you know, want to thank everybody. We're all a team.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is the city clerk's report. Linda?
So the July sales and use tax collected in August was $446,685.43, which was up 7.29%, or $30,332.06 from 2023. Our year-to-date collections are $3,752,197.96, which is up 8.13%, or $282,022.65 from 2023. And I have nothing else, unless you have questions for me.
Council? You guys, Joe?
I don't have any questions.
Anybody down there?
No. No questions.
Okay, no other questions. Thank you very much for that report. It's always good to see an increase in tax revenue. Next item on the agenda is the city administrator's report.
All right, so Coffee with Rob, September 18th at McDonald's, and 25th at Pit Stop. We've had some good attendance. We've had a little bit lower, got down to 3, so come on out. It's still going to be one of those, you don't have to ask anything, you know, official, but it's very, we've had several bubble up issues come up to the council, so come on out. It's still working, and thank you very much for your support. I will say that our projects are full. There's a lot of things happening right now, and if you noticed, we're starting our streets. So when I get down to the Public Works, you'll see that those guys are working really hard. First, HR, there's going to be, let me see, a wellness fair, 16th and 17th. We've got about 60 of our employees that are going to do biometric screening and get all that kind of stuff. If any of the council wants to participate, just contact Margaret, and we can get you guys in on that list too. The library has the Discover Amachi. They're still continuing their Fridays at 10 a.m. of stories with the Rangers. And anybody who wants to participate in our trunk or treat, please contact the library. We'll get you in on the list. The police. We had a successful 9/11 parade. If you noticed, that was quite a few intersections and lots of kids, and it was a lot of fun, and there were no accidents, and we had that's considered a success for all our police. I mean, there was cooperation with county and all over, so thank you very much on the police. Let's see, the traffic study updates. As you'll see, that we'll have, we're going to be going through the process. Kristen works really hard on making sure that we put out what we were supposed to. We were working on the scope. And the traffic study is on its way. It's going to happen this year. We've got at least 3 good, you know, people who are wanting to participate. So once we get that out there, then it's going to happen soon. Let's see. Parks. We had a meeting earlier where we discussed our way ahead, and I will say that we are full court press. on doing some of the upkeep. I know that there are issues that we've been mentioning, and, you know, there's a lot of areas that can look better, and we have got extra hours, we've gotten extra equipment and extra help from other people. We've got consultants coming in, and I just want to say thank you for your patience. We're going to get this fixed, and, you know, your understanding, and we will make sure that we're accountable for our actions. Let's see, Public Works. I think it was trees last time, and now it's roads. They did reopen the Valco Road. We had a lot of wastewater / sanitary sewer issues over there whenever all that rain, and it was caving in a manhole, and we got them to line it and fix it, and then we had to clean up a lot of sand and dirt that got in the lines back then. We've reopened Valco Road, and thank you for your patience, all of the citizens who went through that tiny little space that we were letting people get in there, but we've gotten through that, and it's worked really well, the process they use, so thank you very much. Good job. Pat? Let me see. The street crews began to mill, and it's going to be about a 5 to 6 week process, so we're working on a long list of roads, and you'll be seeing them throughout on all parts of the city, and they're doing a lot of work there to make the streets look better. Community development. The recycling process is going to be changed a little bit. The plastic is going to be collected in green bags, and any other colored bags, if you put plastic in there, you can't just say, hey, this is all plastic. It's going into the trash. If you don't put it, come get a green bag and drop it off. There's a small quantity of e-waste that we can handle, and if you really need some help with that, you got to schedule an appointment with Martha. And besides that, do you guys have any other questions about the projects going throughout the city right now? Lots of stuff.
Do we know when they're gonna start with the sidewalk programs over on 8th and 9th and Savage? I know we had,
We're just waiting for our PO now to go forward. We got the IGA and everything approved, and so we're just waiting on the CDOT right now to let us get the notice to proceed and
we've
things
already
like
gotten
that.
bids and all of
No,
that? or
then-
not
then
yet?
we can
So
go for
We can
bids.
go for bids from there, okay. So it'll probably be next summer then?
I would imagine, well,
Okay.
yeah.
I just had some people asking about that, where they were at with the sidewalks, so I thought I'd ask the question.
We got about 2.5 years left to get that all done, so yeah.
Okay, all right.
Rob, any updates on that old meatpacking plant that Mike Bellamy would always inquire about?
Other than continual, you know, it's adding to the history of calls on that. I know that he had, you know, had some cooperation with us for a little while. We've gone out there multiple times to put, you know, plywood back up there to try and keep people, but, you know, they keep knocking it down. So as of right now, we're just handling it the way we can, you know. We don't have any, it doesn't, you know, qualify for any of our grants or anything like that to fix up.
I had a citizen contact me about the Burger King, asking
Yes.
that it got sold to another enterprise to open up a fast food restaurant.
Not
Well,
fast food, but.
No, I just say that it has been sold.
Well,
Is that
it's
correct?
under contract.
It's under contract. I take that back. There are possibilities building up around that all the time, and, you know, it still might be in that area, but it won't be a fast food restaurant. I wouldn't consider that fast food.
No, they're looking at a restaurant, but it's not fast food. I mean,
fast
we don't want to get into the
Yeah,
details
yeah.
because, as we know from the Arby's deal, that can change within a 5-year period.
Sure can.
You know, from the time that they start the process to the time that they open. But there is a developer that's working on that project and is hoping to bring another
Well, that's good news.
24-hour type restaurant for us.
It really is.
Yeah,
I don't have any more.
thank you. Shayla, anybody else for Rob?
Not today, surprisingly.
2.
Has the sign been put up about the speed flashing that we got through Vale?
The new one?
The second one,
Yeah.
the sign hasn't been put up.
Yep.
I will find
So it's
out.
South of town?
I will find out.
And also what about the property at Logan and North 11th?
I will look that one as well.
That's the one that's really bad.
I will get back to you as soon as I go look
Can you
that up.
follow up with me, please?
Yes, I will. I'll call tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? right, thank you, Rob. With that said, we will move on to the next item, which is our reports and correspondence from the council. This is a time when we have a chance to talk on each one of the council members about things that are happening in their districts, things their constituents have brought to them, or that they're picking up from their liaison positions at the different various boards that they're assigned to. So start off with Joe.
On that note, for the golf board, not really much going on. They did shut the golf course down Monday to aerate and sand all the greens. Their last tournament, the Labor Day tournament, went off really well. A lot of folks showed up. The high school golf tournament boys or golf kids are still using the golf course on a regular basis, still out there practicing and having fun. They had stopped receiving registration forms for the match play that ended Saturday for registration. And so that's underway right now is their match play. And their championship will be following at the end of the month for that. And the last tournament that I know of will be their two-shot, which is still coming up here September 27th, 28th, and 29th. Other than that, right now, I don't have anything else to report from the golf side. Planning and zoning did meet, however, I was unavailable at that time. And I'm hoping David can enlighten us on maybe what took place there at the meeting. But other than that, I have nothing else to bring forth to the council.
Okay, Shayla?
The airport board has not met yet, so I don't have anything tonight.
Okay, Jerry?
Public safety hasn't met till the 19th.
Till the 19th? All right. Dave?
Dave has meeting as, I don't have anything on the planning and zoning. Me for myself didn't make it to that meeting. Had a late night and didn't get to get with Stephanie also. I was wanting to get with her to see what happened, but didn't get to make it there.
Anticipating meeting Thursday, but the notice hasn't come out yet.
Okay.
LPI doesn't meet until the fourth Monday. PEP meets the third Monday, but I want to touch on two things. I want to reiterate to the community that your first course of action, if you see something, is to call dispatch after a recent Facebook post regarding a homeless tent. Making a big Facebook post doesn't get anything done, but calling dispatch to do their job does. Second, I'll finish with something a little softer. Oktoberfest is coming up on the 5th. The chamber has asked SECCI to host the cornhole tournament, so keep an eye out for team registration on SECCI's Facebook page for the cornhole tournament. That's all I got.
Okay. I think we're going to hear a little bit more about that in the future as far as the need for community involvement, for calling in the incidents that they see, or and as we look at trying to address homelessness in the community, where are they coming from? Are they, the different rumors that are going around Facebook need to be validated, verified, and most importantly, they need to be addressed to the right people. And some of the rage bait posts and things of that nature just aren't very helpful. If we want to work together and move forward and find a solution, it starts with getting the right information to the right people. So hopefully we can start moving forward with that as well. Speaking of that, with the homeless topic, I will say that I kind of mentioned it earlier today, that we had a meeting with Karen Bryant at Prowers Medical Center, the CEO there. This is an issue that they're struggling with as well. I've talked to many different city leaders and other communities, and they're struggling with the homelessness situation. I think out of all of the issues with homeless, the number one issue is the ones that have mental health issues, and how do we address that? So I look forward to the meeting with the commissioners tomorrow, and hopefully we can start working together and as a coalition to find some various solutions. But one thing I will say, the interesting part out of all of the work out of the last couple of weeks is to find out, as we're researching and trying to find solutions, what can we do? We're finding out more and more what we can't do more than anything. We're finding out that our police officers can't do very much. Our city can't do very much. I mean, our hands are tied in so many different ways. But hopefully by talking to everybody and bringing them together, we can start finding some solutions to work around the limitations that are in front of us. So, next on that, it was a great meeting with Karen this morning. I also wanted to announce, let them know, the community know, that there is now a convenient care clinic at Pryor's Medical Center. They're going to be housing that on Tuesday and Wednesday evening after work, 5 to 7. Is that correct, Rob?
Yep.
It's going to be kind of a test run over the next few months to see how that goes. They hopefully will be expanding that in the future is what their thoughts are. It was something that they did before COVID, but during COVID, they closed those out because they couldn't do it during COVID. And now they're trying to bring it back to the community. So a little bit more easier access to healthcare with a convenient care clinic at the hospital.
Do they have to make an appointment?
Yes, they will have to make an appointment. They can call. It just gives the extra hours after 5 o'clock so that they can get in for that meeting. So, aside from that, I think that's pretty much all I had for my notes. Any last things before we move on?
I don't have any.
Okay, seeing none. Our next item on the agenda is an oath of office for a new police officer, Steve Sanger. This is an individual who has worked for the city before in the past, so we want to welcome him back to joining this Lamar Police Department. Al, I think he's going to say a few words before we do the oath of office. Chief Fair?
Thank you. So tonight we're swearing in Officer Steve Sanger, and coming to this job, the police department was faced with several challenges, and that was, first of all, filling in 5 different positions. 4 of those positions are new recruits that are in the academy for the next few months, and then you actually won't be on the street and on their own until probably March, okay, after the field training officer program. So I was looking to try and get a lateral transfer somewhere, somehow, an experienced officer, someone that can come in and basically be a turnkey operation. And I sat down with my sergeants, and we had a brainstorming session. I said, who do you guys know that would fit the bill, that would fit in with our department, with our mission and vision for the department, the mentality that we want, the personality that we want. And immediately, the first name that was mentioned was Steve Sanger. Steve was working on the front range at the time, and I was given his cell phone number, and I called him up, and I introduced who I was and told him my situation. I said, what are the odds of you wanting to come work for me in Lamar? And I believe that everything happens for a reason, because in that immediate moment, he says, well, you know, I very am interested in that possibility. He has family here in Lamar, and he had worked here previously, but then went back to, which county? Fremont County. And he's got over 40 years of experience in law enforcement. And in today's day and age, when it's hard to find people to do the job in the first place and keep them for longer than 6, 7 years, we now have a guy walking in the door with 40 years of experience. And he's just been a blessing for me automatically. Even before he put the uniform on, he was helping me with his networking. He knows people all over the state, and he was able to line up 4 light bars that were used from the state patrol. And because of his contacts, we now have 4 usable light bars that we can put on vehicles in the near future. So he knows everybody in the game. I've been able to firsthand see him on calls for service. We had a large disturbance last week, maybe 10 people in the street fighting, and we got there, and he's right in the middle of everything, just calming everything down. And 95% of this job is knowing how to talk to people, and he's got that down. And I couldn't be happier with having Steve as part of our department. He's got the perfect personality. He's very calm under pressure. He basically wrote a lot of our current reports. He designed them before he left, so he knows that. He knows the technology inside and out. So he was in training for exactly 2 days before I signed off on him. So he's on his own now, and he's doing a phenomenal job. So Steve, if you want to come forward.
Are you ready for me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, of course, with all new city officers, we have the oath of office. I'll give you a copy for you to read. If you'll please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Steve Sanger, do solemnly swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America and the state of Colorado.
I, Steve Sanger, do solemnly swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America and the state of Colorado.
I will faithfully and impartially enforce the laws of the state of Colorado and the ordinances of the city of Lamar,
I will faithfully and impartially enforce the laws of the state of Colorado and the ordinances of the city of Lamar.
and do further swear to discharge the duties of police officer for the city of Lamar, Colorado, to the best of my skill and ability, so help me God.
And do further swear to discharge my duties as a police officer for the city of Lamar, state of Colorado, to the best of my skill and ability, so help me God.
All right, I'll do a quick signature here. I'll do one here for you too. And my understanding is you had an individual here that wanted to pin the badge, is that correct?
Yes.
And what is your name?
Jelena.
Nice to meet you. There.
She's going to pin him without stabbing him in the chest, hopefully. Punch it harder. It's a rite of passage.
Give him some leg work.
Yeah.
You can squat all night, don't worry about it, right?
There you go. That works good. Congratulations. Welcome back. Thank you.
I haven't seen Stephen in a long time. There you go. I haven't seen him in a while.
Okay. Sorry, take me a second. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, we're going to consider amending Resolution 171203, authorizing payment of $350,000 per year for the city's general fund to the Lamar Utilities Board. This was a resolution that was brought in shortly after our lawsuit with ARPA back in 2017. We did receive 26 years of an annual payment of $350,000. And during that, well, we have the right to choose where we wanted to place this. And since it was dealing with Lamar Light and Power at the time and the failed plant, we applied that to Lamar Light and Power with the intent of giving a little bit of support to the community members in lower utility rates. What we've noticed is that they have finished up their recent grant, or the bond that they had, sorry. And now that the bond is paid, we need to still make use of this. And the idea is to put it in the best use to where our community members can have the best benefit. So with us dealing with the issue of our new wastewater treatment plant, with the increase in wages, with multiple different areas, we want to make sure that we use these funds the proper way. So the first step in doing that would be to make a decision, do we want to look at redirecting it first off? We would have to make a decision to notify Lamar Light and Power of that for the next year. Since we are in the middle of our budget process, this is why we're having this discussion. Or do you want to leave it exactly where it is? We don't have to make a decision tonight, but we do have it set up for a decision as far as direction of what you would like to do. So the choices are to continue with the payment to Lamar Light and Power, or we could switch it back to the city's general fund and utilize it to lower rates or do whatever we need to do from that point on different areas, or work towards lowering our cost of employment, the payroll, finding the best source of use or the use on that. Any questions that we want to go over on that, or do you guys want to ask Rob or anybody about that?
I know this has been brought up before, and it's one of those things to where, as we evaluate the effectiveness of actually it doing what it was intended to do. I think the funds would be better served in the general fund and helping to offset some of the rising expenditures that we really are going to need to look at in the future. One of them is the new software program. You know, it's going to be a continuing new expense. Wage increases, continuing expense, and to be able to keep up with the expenses of the city, I think would be better served going into the general fund than just trying to offset the electricity bill.
All right, anybody else want to add anything, or?
Well, I've got something. If we move that back to the general fund, or, I mean, if we do move that to the general fund, is that going to affect the citizens of Lamar with their rates?
Did we have any numbers on what the difference is on the rates before and after?
They haven't actually raised rates, but they have raised all of their fees the last 2 years. And they had a facility investment fee built into the fee, their fees, to pay off the bond, which they did in '23, and that has not been lowered, either. So I think they have other options, and the bills are higher regardless. I mean, whether they can say they raised rates or not, they didn't, but all of the fees have increased by quite a bit the last 2 years. So,
I think this is a discussion we've had for the last 2 to 3 years, I believe. Every year during budget time, it comes back up. Should we continue, or should we replace it to another area? I mean, I think that's fair to say. We've considered that every year. It's just
that cost of that bond, was paid off. So, and that should probably end that fee.
In theory.
If they so choose.
In theory.
In theory.
Yeah.
It would be an option.
For the utility board.
Yes.
So, as a fairly newcomer to this area, when I first came here, I was told that this money was given and decided at the time to go help with the rates not going up as high. Well, I can foresee in the next few years us possibly having to raise rates, and this will keep us from having to raise them as high. I don't see it as being a use that's not fiscally responsible for whatever it's used for, either for our rates or for light rates, and it's something that all of them are going to be paying.
Now, when you talk about our rates, you're talking about wastewater.
Wastewater rates.
Because as we look at the wastewater treatment plant replacement, that's going to be a $34 million project. The chances and the likelihood of us needing to raise rates is very high. So we're expecting to raise rates no matter what on the wastewater treatment plant. And a lot of that's going to be to cover that cost of that improvement. So trying to redirect funds and shuffle them around to get the best benefit for the community members is what we're really talking about. Where is it going to be best used? And because, 10% on $1,000 is a lot different than 10% on $50. If you're looking at 10% on $50, that's a very small impact for a small household. But if we're looking at raising rates in different areas, it's just something we need to consider. But it's up to the council.
And I'd have to be in agreement with Manuel a bit, because it's a double-edged sword, right? We can look at it as helping the community members pay for those utility bills, and that's great. But also our job is to manage the budget, to make sure the city government is operating so that we can keep infrastructure and services available. And if we don't have those, then we don't have a town attracting residents. So that's that double-edged sword. And I'd have to agree with Manuel that projecting out for the next 5 to 10 years with this wastewater treatment facility, with rising costs of employment through the city of Lamar, everything going up, even if inflation levels out, things just continue to get higher in cost for us to operate the city. I think it would be better served in the general fund to help sure we can bolster that and make sure that we on our end are still in the black to provide those services and keep our infrastructure updated.
Okay. So with that said and the discussion being had, I guess it's up to the council what you would like to do. If you want to bring this back to amend a resolution, we would have to do a new resolution, or we can continue with the resolution that we have currently. We would, I guess what we would need on the way that she has it worded was, would you like to amend the resolution, or would you like to keep it the same?
I'll make a motion to amend the resolution.
And we really just need direction.
Just direction.
You have to bring it
We don't have an
back.
So it
action.
doesn't need to be a vote, it just needs to be direction.
We only need direction on this. We don't have a resolution to approve tonight, if that's the direction of council.
Okay.
So we need to get a resolution created.
So we don't need to vote on anything?
So I'll go down the line and let me know. I know it's not a formal vote, but we do need to give direction which way we wanted to go. I think whatever direction we go, we need to have the discussion with Lamar Light and Power as well. So, Brent?
Yep, my direction would be to bring back a resolution amending to put that money into the general fund after notifying Light and Power.
Same. David? Same. Jerry?
Would agree.
I'm in agreement with everybody else. Move it to general fund.
Okay. All right, with that said, that gives us the direction we need to go forward with.
What's that? Yeah. Yeah, that's sufficient for my purposes, and I can work with Kristen on that.
Okay? Then we'll bring that back to in a future date.
We can also notify the utility board about that as well, so that they can prepare on their budget end.
Yeah, barring any, I'm the liaison to the board. I'll be there tomorrow, barring any catastrophe at the bank or something where I have to go out of town.
I just want to clarify real quick that I understood you correctly. That fee was called a what?
The facility investment fee?
The facility
It's
investment fee that the Lamar Utility
To help
Board had
pay
in
their
place
bond.
was to pay off the
It's in
bond,
their
which is now
fees.
paid off as of 2023.
Yes, sir.
Their bond was paid off in 2023.
Yes,
But that fee is still in place for the last 2 years.
as far as I know, yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that, make sure I understood.
Okay, we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is a contract with the Lower Arkansas Valley Area Agency on Aging, LAVA. This is initiated by Kristen Swartz and Rob and Tess is here to speak to us.
Good evening. The City of Lamar applied for the grant from the Lower Arkansas Valley Area Agency on Aging to assist in operating the Lamar Community Resource and Senior Center. The city was awarded the grant in the amount of $25,589. We have to match it with 10% of $2,844. This is going to go until June 30th of '25. We are asking for council to approve the contract and for the mayor to sign.
This is what we usually get every year to help support our senior center operations, so should be pretty straightforward. Have you reviewed this, Lance?
I reviewed the agreement. I have no issues with it.
Based upon that, I make a motion to approve the contract with Lava and allow the mayor to sign.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay. Next item is permission to pursue the Motorola grant program. This is also initiated by Kristen, Tess, and Chief Fear this time. Yes?
Chief Fear has identified a need for new in-car radios and dash cams. We are asking permission to pursue funding through the grant offered by Motorola. We are reaching out to schedule meetings and get details on the next steps we need to take, and including what kind of match they will require. The dash cams are approximately going to cost $102,429, and radios at approximately $105,188. This is something that we're looking to budget in the 2025-20 fund.
What is the match on these grants?
That's what we're looking to find
This one,
out.
we're not sure yet. We have to set up a meeting, and we had to do like an intent to apply and some things, some steps, but we wanted your permission before we got very much further into it, before we can get the details, so
And you'll come back for approval before you
we can do that, yes.
accept or something. And the only reason why I'm asking is because, I mean, if it's $200,000 and it's a 50% match, then we have to find the funds somewhere. So if it's 10%, that's easy.
I make a motion for the staff to pursue the Motorola grant.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay. Next item, permission to apply for the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant.
Before I go into it, I apologize, my attachment is not correct in the packet, and I'm going to give you what is correct.
Thank you, Tess.
It was a two-sided document, and we did
I've
one
done that.
side. And we included a
Thank you, ma'am.
draft of an agreement that didn't need to be in there. We're getting better. We're getting better all the time. That's all that's good.
Okay,
Actually, Lance got it.
So we are asking for permission to apply for the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, or JAG. Our intent with this is to purchase body cameras. We are hoping to apply for $90,000, and there is not a match this grant.
there is no match?
Yeah, no. And what I handed to you is an estimate from Chief Beer on the cost of those.
So 7,780 due 30 months after the initial payment. So that's for renewal or?
That's just an option. You can finance them or buy them outright.
Okay.
And so we're looking to buy them outright because this grant will allow us to do that. It would
Do the
save us.
buyout.
Yeah. And just
I didn't
buy
know
them.
if that was like an ongoing maintenance or service
I think
or?
we'd have to look into that afterwards, but right now we're just asking for permission to just purchase the cameras outright.
Okay.
And then if we would happen to get it, we'll get a refined contract with the vendor and bring that back for your approval.
So hopefully the 90,000 would cover that, or the grant would have covered that part.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions?
I don't have any.
We have a motion?
We're just a motion to approve staff to apply for the
To
grant.
apply, just
Okay.
authorizing us to.
I'd like to move to authorize staff to apply for the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant.
I'll
JAG.
second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I just want to say again, it's great seeing you hit the ground running and working with these two. It's been awesome seeing you consistently bringing things to us to try to improve the police department. So thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Almost did it wrongly. All right, next item on the agenda, one that everybody always loves when we have is reading an ordinance. At least this one's a fairly small one. There's been multiple discussions over the last couple of months about food trucks and what do we do about food trucks utilizing city-owned property. This is the first reading of the new ordinance for food trucks in the city of Lamar. Our intent, as with every ordinance, you have a first reading and a second reading, and then once those two are both approved, that's when the ordinance goes into effect. So we're reading this to publish it to the community as of right now. Once you've had a chance to review it, at the next meeting, prior to the next meeting, we will have a work session to allow individuals from the community to speak to us about any changes, corrections, revisions that they feel would be necessary. And if there are none, we will do approve it on the second reading at the next meeting. So that is our timeline, just so everybody would know. Who would like to read do you want me to just read it real quick?
I haven't done one in a while.
Okay, Brent,
Is this the same one?
the one that she gave you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
An ordinance amending Chapter 8, Article 1 regarding mobile food vendors and ice cream vendors. Whereas Colorado Revised Statutes 31-15-401 grants general police powers to the City Council to promulgate ordinances for the health, safety, and welfare of the public. And whereas the use of mobile food trucks and push carts have become increasingly popular with residents, businesses, and visitors to the City of Lamar. And whereas the use of mobile food trucks and push carts on public property have created an unfair advantage for other businesses and a safety risk to the vendors and citizens without regulation of the vendor's location. And whereas mobile ice cream vendors operate differently than mobile food vendors as they are in static locations throughout the city for less than 15 minutes and should be allowed to serve customers on city property with appropriate regulations of the vendors. And whereas the City Council of the City of Lamar has further determined that it is in the best interest of the health, safety, and welfare of the inhabitants of the city to exercise its express authority to regulate the location of mobile food vendors and mobile ice cream vendors in the City of Lamar, consider the needs existing businesses and adopt and establish reasonable regulations concerning their location and to amend the City of Lamar Municipal Code as set forth herein. Now, therefore, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Lamar, Colorado, as follows. Part 1, the Lamar Municipal Code, Chapter 8, Article 1, Section 8-16 is hereby amended with the addition of said section to read as follows. Section 8-16, mobile food trucks, push carts, and ice cream vendors. Definitions: for the purpose of this article, the following terms shall have the meanings as indicated. Okay, thank you. Unless the context otherwise requires. 1. Ice cream products means ice cream, frozen milk, or any other frozen dairy or non-dairy products of similar nature that may include sorbet, shaved ice, and popsicles, or ice product or confection. 2. Mobile food truck means a retail food establishment that is not intended for a permanent location and is a motorized wheeled vehicle or a trailer that is licensed for use on public roadways, designed and equipped to serve food and beverages operating in either a static or transitory location and customers. 3. Mobile food vendor means any person who sells food and or beverages from a mobile food truck or push cart, excepting mobile ice cream vendors. 4. Mobile ice cream vendor means any vehicle, whether human-powered or motor-powered, from which ice cream products and no other food items are sold or offered for sale to the general public, except for any vehicle operated from a stationary location and does not include mobile establishments that serve food items other than ice cream products. 5. Push cart means a retail food establishment that is not a motorized vehicle, a lightweight cart that is designed to be pushed or pulled by hand and is used to serve food and beverages. Push cart does not include carts serving only ice cream products. Subsection B, operational standards, mobile food vendors. 1. Shall not operate on publicly owned property and public right-of-way without prior approval for a special permit under Section 8-16, subsection D. 2. Shall only sell food, non-alcoholic beverages, and branded merchandise specific to the vendor. 3. Shall be in compliance with all local ordinances. 4. Shall not obstruct pedestrian or bicycle passage and shall not impede traffic flow. 5. Shall keep the sidewalks, roadways, and other spaces adjacent to their temporary operating location clean and free of refuse of any kind generated from the operation of their business. Subsection C, operational standards for mobile ice cream vendors. 1. May operate on publicly owned property or public right-of-way so long as the vehicle is not stationary for 15 minutes at one location without prior approval for a special permit under Section 8-16, subsection D. 2. Shall lawfully and safely be stopped and not impede traffic. 3. Shall only sell ice cream products and branded merchandise specific to the vendor. 4. Shall only operate a vehicle that is clearly marked and identifiable as a mobile ice cream vendor. 5. Shall not operate or permit an employee or contractor to operate as a vendor that is a registered sex offender or has been convicted of any sex crimes involving children. 6. Shall not operate after sunset or before 10 a.m. 7. Shall abide by all state, local, federal laws and ordinances. Subsection D, special permits. 1. The City Council may authorize a mobile food vendor to operate on publicly owned property or public right-of-way, or may authorize a mobile ice cream vendor to remain stationary for more than 15 minutes, provided that the mobile food vendor or mobile ice cream vendor completes an application for a special permit to the city clerk, describes the date, time, and location of the use of publicly owned property or public right-of-way, and pays the application fee set by resolution of the City Council. Subsection E, penalty. Failure to comply with the terms of this chapter shall constitute a violation of this code as defined in Chapter 1. Any person who is found guilty of or pleads guilty or nolo contendere to the violation of this code shall, for each offense, be subject to a penalty as set forth in Section 1-21. Each day an offense continues shall constitute a separate offense. 2. Repeated violation of this section shall be considered a public nuisance, and such conduct shall be sufficient grounds that may result in 1. A suspension of mobile food vendors or mobile ice cream vendors' business license, subject to and in accordance with the process set forth in Section 8-10, or 2, revocation of the mobile food vendors or mobile ice cream vendors business license, subject to and in accordance with the process set forth in Section 8-11. Conflict. All ordinances, resolutions, bylaws, and regulations of the City of Lamar in conflict with the provisions of this ordinance are hereby repealed. Severability. If any section, paragraph, clause, or provision of this ordinance shall be held invalid, unenforceable, or of no legal effect by a court of competent jurisdiction, the invalidity of such section, paragraph, or clause shall not affect any other provision of this ordinance. Effective date. This ordinance shall take effect 30 days after publication as provided by law. Read in full, passed, and ordered published on first reading. Do I say that part too?
No.
Okay, thank you. I thought I did. I was like, that's not right.
So that is the first reading of the ordinance. We wanted to get it out to the public. There's been a lot of assumptions of what the council was trying to do or not trying to do. I think this clearly states it, that we're just trying to give our officers the ability to enforce no use of public property for these food trucks. We did throw in the section about the ice cream trucks because there has been a recent couple of sightings of ice cream trucks in the area. We have the push carts with ice cream as well during some of the events. But that, as it says in the ordinance, does state it clearly, the differences between the two. Last but not least, we will use the same type of, not regulations, but guidelines for special use permits. We're not gonna charge these extra exaggerated types of fees. If the Chamber of Commerce is gonna do Oktoberfest, when they apply for their special use permit to use city property, they will need to just add into their application that they would like to also have 15 food vendors or 50 food vendors or 1 food vendor. If you are somebody that's going to be renting one of the city properties, whether it be the Pocket Park or one of the other parks, you will need to notify with your application that you would like to have a food truck along with that, and that way it gets approved all in one, wrapped up into one application. So I think that pretty much covers it, didn't it? Lance, did I miss anything that we wanted to
It's
get
first
out?
reading, so if council passes it tonight, then we'll order it published, we'll have a second reading for, when would we have?
At the next meeting on,
2 weeks, we'd have the next.
yeah, the 23rd?
Okay.
And like I said, we will hold a work session, so we'll give some time for individuals to make a comment after they've had a chance to review this. If you don't have a copy of it, or if you didn't want to listen to it be read again, you can contact Linda at the city clerk's office and ask them for a copy. They can email it to you. Although it will be published, or this would be the published?
Well, it will be published, but I will also make sure that it's out on our website. But they're more than welcome to call me. I
Okay,
can email it to them.
all right. Hopefully that will help. What is the council's decision on this? What would you like to do?
Make a motion to approve and adopt the ordinance on the first reading.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve and adopt on the first reading. Any final discussions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay. So that has been approved on the first reading. Next item on the agenda, fiscal year 2024-2025, Colorado State Grants for Libraries. This initiated by Sue. Approve this year's grant and allow us to apply for this and future grants through the state grants application database. I think the only question I would have, I can go ahead and let you talk about that, and we can, maybe you'll clarify before I ask my question.
Okay.
But go ahead.
This is our annual state grants to library. Normally, the state sets aside a certain amount of money. This is a non-competitive grant, and this money is for mostly educational items to be used by the public. We use it for books, STEAM kits, databases, anything that will help with the education process in our community. Every year, we get about $5,000 to $6,000. This year, it's $5,927. And how we do that is normally we just fill out a grant application, we bring it to council, council approves it, and then we send in the application. Well, now they have a new process. And this process requires us to basically use technology in order to apply for the grant. Since this is a non-competitive grant, since it is pretty much a rubber stamp type of situation, and since it is not really practical for the mayor to come in and actually fill out the grant application and apply for it, we're hoping that we can get this year's grant approved and then change the process for how we approve them in the future. Basically, what they want us to do is have a user access administrator, which we presume would be Rob, who would appoint the other two people, the person who applies and approves the grants, which would probably be the library director. And then once the grant is set up, then it goes to the fiscal person, which would probably be Kristen. And if everything's kosher, then it goes on to the state, and they just, at that point, can disperse the money. So we're asking that we just be allowed to do this process, since it is kind of a rubber stamp, every year, and only bring it back to council if there's a significant change to the process or what the funds are used for or something of that nature.
So that was my concern that I was starting to say is, you know, we put these procedures in place for the checks and balances, not so much to be a pain, but just so we have checks and balances, because as I was asking earlier, does the matching portion change every year or not? If the grant itself doesn't change, that's fine, but the match may change or some of the other restrictions. So I don't know what your feeling is on it, Kristen, about doing it with a rubber stamp for the future years.
Rob and I had talked about it. We have a few that are like this, that don't change their operating grants. But you are going to trust people to be honest and, you know, and stick with the process. We have some grants that can't go forward without council's approval, and dates have to go in. And when we follow the process, then Rob knows about it, I know about it, we can budget it. If it's not budgeted, that's my other issue. We do budget for this one every year because we've gotten it forever. A lot of these grants that come up, they're not in the budget, so I'm covering processes that are required by the state because they're not budgeted items. By coming to you and getting your permission, I'm also covering that aspect of it as well. So I guess I'm a little bit leery, but I feel like this is one of them that, you know, has been the same for 11 years. And the amounts have been the same, there's no match to it, it's an operating grant. The process she speaks of is not unique, though. It's that way on a lot of them. We still bring them to council, ask for permission to apply, and then go through that electronic process.
I know I've signed quite a few of the electronic grants.
Linda has you
after
sign the
approvals.
application, and then we authorize that person submitting the grant to go ahead and submit it, you know, and you get it through DocuSign or something like that. So, I don't know, I think that it's going to be
I
what
think if we're
council
doing it
thinks.
just for this grant, this
That's fine,
annual
yeah.
grant, but not for all library grants, and that's kind of what it almost implies, is that, you know, changing all library grants.
No, it would be for just this one.
Okay.
I think it's a minor step, and I know it's a pain, but I think once we start setting precedents that are outside of our normal procedures, that it opens up doors for another department to come in and said, well, you allowed that department to do this, and we allowed this one, and pretty soon we're getting out of the procedural realm, and that's why I'm leery of it. Just because of that checks and balances, that we want to make sure that the council is aware that we're applying for these grants, but not only the council, but like tonight, we're having this discussion in an open session for the public to hear. Yes, they're applying for grants through the library, and yes, she's being very active, and it's great to see Sue up there, and, you know, she's not just hidden away at the library. So it is good to also have you come in and talk to the people and to the community and let them know that you're applying for these at the same time. But that's my reasoning.
I would like to say something. This is a low risk to allow this to happen. Each one of these departments that you say you might want to set, or might set a precedent for each one of those guys. Hey, this department got through this, it all got to go through me. And I'm the one that's going to be taking that risk on. So I don't think that it's gonna be anything that you guys have to worry about. It won't be abused, it's not gonna be a match that somebody.
And that's what I was trying to clarify too, to be clear that it's just this grant. It's not for any other library grants, but just this one that you're doing.
And I completely understand what you're saying. I want the public to know that we get this grant. It's very important because that encourages the state to continue to give us this money. It's the process that's, because it says that we need to appoint someone who both creates and approves the grant. So even if I were to come and ask for approval, I would still already be given approval just to even apply for the grant, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a,
Transparency is always a difficult thing. I mean, you want to be transparent, but you want to be efficient.
Right.
And you have to give up one for the other at times. And I kind of feel like this is a situation where it may be more efficient, but if we want to remain transparent, it's that back and forth. But it's up to the council. It's definitely,
Like coming with this new system the state's putting in place, would you have to set Rob up as the authorized representative every year, and then set Kristen and yourself up as the other agents?
no, he would be able to change the users. He would be the
Okay.
main one, and he would be able to change every year if he wanted to.
I'd have to be kind of in agreement with you. I mean, we've been working so hard for transparency, and I know this is just once a year on this one, but I think we're doing a really good job between the police department, the different departments, and the communication on social media. I'd have to agree that if this was like once a month you had to do this, I'd say, yeah, that's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
But since it's once a year, I'd have to agree with Kirk that I think we should stick with the old protocol.
Well, I'm okay with doing the old protocol, but the problem is that I would still have to be allowed to be in there as the authorizing agency, even if I then did subsequently bring it to council. So I want that to be clear before I apply for grants, and then somebody is worried because I'm, going beyond what I've said I'm going
It
to
can be
do.
in your motion, you authorize her to
She can be a delegate.
to submit that electronically, just like we did
Okay.
with some of the others that followed that exact same process.
Okay, prior to it coming to council.
so the motion we would need is approve to apply for this grant, and have her act as a delegate for the grant management, is that?
To allow her to submit the application electronically through the state's process, but that she has to bring it back then every
Or
year.
the approval every year, okay.
And then Rob is the person who says who can actually fill that out before coming to council.
Is that okay process there?
That's my motion.
Okay.
And I'll second it.
That did include this year's approval though, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Oh, we have a vote. We got a motion and a second. We got the motion down. All those in favor?
No.
No, not yet.
Who motioned?
Brent.
Brent, and a second with Jerry. Okay.
Go ahead.
All right, all those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thanks.
Thank you for understanding.
No problem.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is miscellaneous. Do we have any miscellaneous items that we need to talk about with the council?
No, sir.
That I can think of.
No big upcoming things for the city or internally work?
Oh, I have one thing. We are going to have our council budget work
Yep,
session.
that's right. Next week,
Okay.
next Monday.
Next Monday night at 6 o'clock.
So we'll have a budget work session next Monday at 6 o'clock.
Oh, that's right. We have an invitation from Kevin Bonner, the Executive Director of CML. It says, personally inviting us to the District 6 Fall Meeting Wednesday, September 25th. This year it's at La Junta. So they're going to be at the Kashari Kiva. Is that how you pronounce it over there? All right, the meeting will kick off at 5. They're going to have a social hour. CML would like you to thank Black Hills Energy and please RSVP. I would like to handle this. You guys just talk to Mary. We will consolidate it and we will take care of it by, I don't want there to be missing one or to be please come to Mary and I'll make sure we handle getting this to the hunt.
So I did email this morning saying I was going to attend.
Okay.
This is the same event we hosted last year.
Yep.
So,
Ward 1's both checked in is going.
yeah. Good. I already replied. Are you guys going? I'm going to go. There you go. Okay. Well, just let Mary know, and that way we can get everything lined out. So, I know one year we rented the PATH bus and took the whole bus, all of the council, and, but
Well,
it would take some coordinating. But nonetheless, we look forward to it, and we thank La Junta for sponsoring it this year. All right, with that said, the next item on the agenda is executive session.
Yeah.
You ready? So we have an executive session, two of them. Number one is for a conference with the city attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions under Colorado Revised Statutes 244402, subsection 4, subsection B, regarding municipal and district legal relationships with our judge. Number two is for discussion of personnel matters under Colorado Revised Statutes 24-6-402, subsection 4, subsection F, to review the outcome of the city clerk, city treasurer, the city administrator's annual performance reviews, including the review of the performance targets that were provided earlier this year. So there will not be any decisions coming out of this executive session. Do we have a motion to enter into the executive session?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
As I stated earlier, there will be no decisions coming out of this executive session. Our next meeting is Monday, September the 23rd at 7 p.m. We will have the work session at 6 p.m. or at some point before that. We thank you for joining us tonight.